Hey everyone! Today we're going to read chapter 4 in Lou in our Ghost series today. Last chapter I gave you a couple questions and a journal assignment. And the journal assignment was something that um, were you able to think of something that you were interested in a hobby? And which character did you most relate to? Think about that and write that down. And in last chapter two, we found out that Lou is having a baby brother or sister. We don't know yet. And it was a miracle because his mom and dad said they could never have any other children. So, chapter four, and if you have the book, it's on page 40. It's called A New Name for Little Brother, Little Sister. Gordon, that's my dad's real name, but everybody calls him Goose. Everybody except my mom and me. I call him Dad. Actually, I called his phone when I got in the house and found out that he and my mother weren't there yet. So, tonight, I called him Late Dad. Late Dad? That's the best you got, Lou, he joked. Me, about my bad joke, which made it a worse joke. I could hear him turn away from the phone and tell my mother that I called him Late Dad. And then I could hear my mother say, Late Dad? Wow, nice one, son. Really clever. She sounded disappointed, but a funny kind of disappointed. Honestly, I don't blame her. The joke was trash, but come on, I can't be great at everything. Plus, he's my father, so it ain't like I could just say, Where you at, you boo boo faced clown? I mean, I could have. But why run the risk of future new little baby ending up an only child? Anyway, 10 minutes after that goofy phone call, my mom and dad got home. I was just about to get in the shower and wash the track funk off me before dinner, but doubled back to get the big baby surprise that I wanted but didn't really want. So the surprise tonight is they're going to find out what the baby is, whether it's a baby sister or baby brother, or was supposed to want, and did, but didn't. Nope, absolutely not. Dad pointed back down the hall toward the bathroom. We ain't telling you nothing because it's impossible to talk. And hold our breath at the same time, Stinky Son. Yeah, Stinky Son, my mom joined in just to be funny. She was his all the time hype man. Hype woman, you smell like, old bananas. And you smell like mom jokes, I tossed back at her, swiping under my arms, then sniffing. I knew I stank, but for some reason I just needed to make sure. Then I smell like you, she shouted, her voice cracking into a big laugh. Only difference is, I'm actually a mom, a mother of two. She put two fingers in the air, and you, banana boy, won't know if the other is a sister or brother until you smell less like your daddy after a long day. Wow! From me. Dad snapped his neck toward her. I thought we were on the same team. I know. Shrug. We are. Wow, from me again. So then why you gotta bring me into this? I don't stink, he whined, sounding like he felt played out. No, honey, my mother replied, lifting her voice to cartoon tone. She kissed my dad, then thumbed her nose. You don't stink at all. I took a long shower. Then washing part happened quick. But I stood there in the water, thinking about future new little baby and how weird it was going to be hearing all that crying and smelling the poop and holding something smaller than a watermelon. I always wanted to have a little brother, somebody I could look at, and it would be looking at me through a brown filter. Probably a less cool brown filter, but still a brown filter. Because the chance of mom having another albino baby was almost impossible. And remember, Lou is suffers from he has a condition called albinism, and it means he doesn't have pigment in his skin, so he's very white. But now that was happening, like really happening. It felt funny because honestly, I was the kind of like a miracle. That's what they say. But if there's another miracle, then the first one just becomes a cool thing that happened. but not a miracle no more. And even though being different is tough, being different is different. But it's still, it'll be cool. It will be cool. It'll be cool, yeah. Of course it will. Definitely. Plus, no matter what, it won't be as hard to be a big brother as it is to jump hurdles. And I ain't scared of that, so ain't no way I was going to be scared of this, no matter what Coach was talking about. After the longest shower of all time, I threw on some sweatpants and headed back to the kitchen, the smell of leftover turkey meat floating through the air. I sat down, elbows on the table, deep breath. Okay, I'm ready. For what? My mother asked, nudging my arms off and taking a seat. My father was washing his hands in the sink. For the surprise. I felt something hit the back of my head, a balled up paper towel. Surprise! Dad yelped. Ha ha ha! I fake laughed, slapping my father on the back as he sat next to me. He tucked his chains, then he picked up his turkey wing and bit straight into it, caveman style. Chewed and chewed, while I stared at him, waiting and waiting. Then I looked at my mother and she turned away. Mom! Okay, okay, she broke. You're going to be a big brother. I cocked my head, annoyed. Seriously? Both of my parents busted out laughing, turkey meat confetti flying from my dad's mouth. Gross. Okay, okay, here we go. For real this time. Mom took a deep breath. We have ourselves, she revved up, a boy. A snowflake? But a snowflake boy? Just say it. Boy, she yelped. I knew it. Named Lou. Wait, what? But what we're about to have is a girl. My mother shrieked, and my father threw his greasy hands in the air, clapped them over his head. Mom rubbed her stomach. You're going to have a little sister. A sister, I felt. Okay, let me explain. It's not that I wanted, that I was kind of hoping for a little brother because I don't like girls. It ain't that at all. I do like girls. Patty be acting like my sister forever, and it's cool, but to have a little brother would have been good for me. Like I said before, just because I wanted to see what I would have looked like if I was brown. And me being a boy and all, I just felt like it made sense to look into another boy's face to see my own. What's wrong? My mother asked, which led me to know what I wasn't doing a good job at keeping my face happy, and I imagined it probably looked like I was forcing a smile. And when you force a smile, it always looks like you're trying to ignore the fact that your stomach's bubbling. Nothing. Lou, my dad had finally got the turkey meat down. I looked at him. Say it. It's really, it ain't like a big thing. I'm cool, happy. I've been practicing that. I just wanted a little brother, Mom said. She reached over and grabbed my hand, which I had balled into a fist, and was pushing my thumb between the fingers. Right? I didn't even know you could have more kids, but then you say you have one of all of a sudden, and so I just wanted to know what I would look like. I know he might not have looked just like me or whatever, but still, it would have at least been cool to know what I would have looked like if I was normal. Normal? Mom's face twitched. You know how I feel about. I know, I cut her off. But you know what I mean. She hated when I said things like normal because when I say normal, I mean brown, and she don't feel like the color of my skin makes me unnormal. But if that's true, then why would she be calling me a lightning bolt? To be 1 in 17,000 ain't normal, and then 17,000 million people are just staring at you like a freak? It'd sometimes be feeling off. I know. But can I tell you something? Your little sister might not look like you. Or she might, my father interrupted, a finger in the air. True, she might. But even if she doesn't look like you, she's going to look at you. And you know what she's going to see? My mother followed my eyes, making sure she didn't lose me. Yup, the most handsome boy to ever go to Barnaby Middle. I forced a joke and another smile, then lowered my head. You're not serious, and I know you're not. She pulled my card. Look at me, eyes up. Do you know what she's going to see? What? Herself, Mom smiled. She's going to see herself, son, and you, like I do. Dad followed like a cornball, and I could tell it was part for me and part to remind my mother what it meant to be on the same team. After dinner, Dad and me had to wash dishes, and that's when I asked him if he meant what he said, that he really saw himself in me, or if he was just sucking up to Mom, or both. Both. Definitely both, he teased. I knew it, but mainly I meant it. Dad grabbed the drying towel and laid it out so that I could put the wet plates on it. Okay, but how? I mean, in what way? My father leaned against the counter because us washing dishes really meant me washing dishes, and tucked just the tips of his fingers into his pocket of his jeans. Well, I see a kid with so much future, so much passion, but at the same time, so much. He looked at me like he wanted me to give him the words he was missing. But I was missing them too. What, I asked, so much what? I don't know. Look, when I was your age, I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted to be cool. And you are. That was obvious. Runs in the family. My father is literally the coolest dude I know. Some people don't want to be like their dads, like Ghost and Sonny. But I pretty much wanted to be just like Goose. Always fly, fresh clothes, kicks, tattoos. Got this cool way of talking like he keep his voice low, and if you don't know him, it can be kind of hard to make out what he's saying, which to me all plays into his gooseness. Matter of fact, he might be the coolest dude anybody knows. Coolest dude around here for sure. Yeah, but it wasn't always like this, man. The way you are in the track, I never had that when I was running. Other people did, but not me, he explained. I scrubbed leftover turkey slime from a plate. Streaks of brown left behind from the seasoning Mom used. Other people like Wolf, right? I asked. Dad did this weird head nod, head shake mix up thing like he always did whenever the wolf came up. So I explained. Me and Coach were talking about track and how it was back in the day. He was going on and on about him, the wolf, Mr. What's his name? Tory Cunningham, the fastest kid I ever seen. Dad now all perked up, took his hands out of his pockets and rubbed them together, ready to tell me a story I had already heard like a trillion times. The wolf, the howl, the speed, again. He would talk so much trash, so cocky, but it didn't matter because nobody could beat him. But you ain't never tell me that he all messed up now. We saw him today. Coach dropped off Ghost before me in Glass Manor, bugging out. My father stopped the hand rubbing mid rub inside. Yeah, I know. Even though he ain't washed not one dish, he reached over and turned the faucet off. I'm not done yet, I said, but Dad ain't care. Lou, you know how I got the name Goose? Was it was it about grown up men changing the subject? It's like Mom's always asking what's wrong and Dad's always say, let's talk about something else. Truth is, I never even thought about the goose thing. No one ever brought it up. I hadn't even brought it up. I was talking about Wolf. And here we go, jumping animals. I don't think so. Well, when I was young, I used to stutter. He jammed his fingers back into his pockets. I mean, really, really stutter. It was bad. I could barely get a sentence out, and when the words would get stuck in my throat, I would jerk my neck almost like I was trying to cough them up. And I did it so much, bobbing my head like a chicken or a goose. That's what people started calling me. And he bobbed his head a few times, then continued. Well, mainly it was one dude. Now Dad started smiling. Not a full smile, just a smile of remembrance, which usually be small smiles. A peak of teeth, Otis. Who? Oh, you mean Coach? Coach. He gave me that name. We were kids growing up together in Glass Manor. My folks used to take care of him whenever his mother was working, and his dad was in and out, struggling with dope. We were like brothers, actually. Even joined the high school track team together. He was great. I was okay. My mother pushed me to run because she knew I'd be with Otis and felt like track was keeping us both out of trouble. And it was, but I wasn't good enough to stop people from teasing me about my stutter. I would run my race and get third place, and to celebrate me, to cheer for me, my own teammates would cluck and flap their arms and go, Goose. Wait, Coach flamed you? Because that don't really sound like something he would do. Dad flipped his eyes up into his head. First of all, we didn't call it flamin' back then, and we were young. And I don't think he or any of them meant it to be mean. It was just something everybody was in on, Dad said, brushing off the question. But after a while, it really started getting to me, so I quit. I wanted to be a winner, Lou, to be cool. And at the time, I couldn't see nothing down the line in my life. I could only see what was right in front of me. And what was in front of me was stuttering and goose jokes. So at 15, I decided to do the only thing I saw as cool around my way: sell drugs. Right. I told you that before, and you know I'm not proud of it, and you know if you ever think about it. I know I'm not. And I put my hands up quick. Anyway, my dad sucked in a long breath. To bring this back around to Tori, there were a lot of people jealous of him. Dude was unbeatable, and he felt and acted like nothing could get him, like nothing could happen to him. And people hated it. You should have seen him. He walked around like a celebrity, be signing autographs and all that. It was nuts, but he also had so much pressure on him. I mean, he was 17 and the track was supposed to be his way out. There were coaches and recruiters fighting over him. So just before the championship meet his junior year, he asked me if I had something that could give him some extra speed. He really wanted to impress the colleges, and by then everybody knew I had everything: stuff to put people down, stuff to take people up. I had it all. So I met him, served him, and that was that. You sold the wolf his first hit? I asked, gaping at my dad just to make sure I was catching it all. Dad nodded and then dropped another bomb. Unfortunately, I also ended up selling Otis' dad, Mr. Brody, his last. All the words in my head went away, shut down. Thoughts gone, and a few seconds later my mind came back on like a reboot. But I was still confused about what my father was telling me. I mean, I could hear his words, but none of them were making sense. I mean, they were, but they weren't. What? What? I said, my brain still on fuzz on loading. Do you know that? Do you know, Coach, you. Look, Lou, I worked every day, every single day, trying to make it right, Dad said, his face becoming weird as he was wearing a mask of his own face, on his face. This was my cue to ease up on the questions. You know that? I did. I do. But still. My dad's job, the job that had him working so hard that he was never around, was basically like being a rehab hustler. Always out at basketball courts and on hot corners and anywhere else he knew there would be people having a tough time with drugs. And the same hard to hand he used to do when he was younger, he did in a different way now. Now he slips them tiny Ziploc bags with notes in them. Notes he'd be getting from family members, their brothers and sisters and kids and cousins, and if, after reading those notes, an addict felt like he might want to try getting clean, my pops would personally take them to the rehab place, help them do all the paperwork stuff, and get them back in touch with their families, back to themselves. The point I'm trying to make with all this: when I see you, I see the me before all that, before the smoke, the rock, and the junk, before the flash and the fly. And when I look at you, I see me with potential, the me who was different but good. He pointed to my chest, in here. I don't care what you lose, kid. Just don't lose that. Dad rubbed my head and yanked me close. You're going to be a good big brother, Lou. Hear me? I heard him, but I ain't say nothing. Matter of fact, and I haven't talked to your mother about this yet, but I think she'll be okay with it. I want you to think of a name for your new little sister. A name? No. My father took his arm around me. Her name. Her real name. Whoa. Really great chapter. I have a couple questions for you I want you to think about, and I'm going to leave you with a journal entry till later in the week when we read chapter 5. First question. So, Lou's going to have a little baby. Is it a girl or boy? And the second part to that is his father said that he gets to name the baby. So, is so think about if it's going to be a boy or a girl. And the second question that I have for you is his dad. He really looks up to his dad. His dad is super cool. He thinks he's the coolest dad. What did he do when he was Lou's age in high school? And what does he do now? So he used to do something probably not so good, if you can remember, and now he does something to try to turn things around to make up for mistakes. And so, my journal entry for you today, can you remember a time that you wanted to change something? Change something about you, change something that you wanted to do. And how did you go about making that change? So think about in your journal, write a couple sentences or a paragraph about something that you wanted to change and how you went about changing it. Okay? Stay safe, make sure that you're reading, and I'll see you later in the week. Bye, everybody.